bring it on. Gates open. They're racing in the Sistema Railway Stakes. In Style bounced out to lead early from Silver Eclipse, so Marilyn is right there. 700 metres out in the Sistema Railway, and it's Durham Town the leader from In Style, and out three wide Hannah Mary. Homeward bound in the railway, 300 metres to go. Durham Town the leader, tackled by In Style. 2 lengths away, O'Marilyn's getting out with Silver Eclipse. Ryan Mark still 3 or 4 lengths off them. Further out, Who's Your Master's arriving at the 100 metres. It's In Style in front. Durham Town is kicking, coming after them. Who's Your Master's flying at the line. Oh, gee, that's very close. In Style, I reckon, a nose.
In Style wins the Group 1 Sistema Railway Stakes there on New Year's Day at Ellerslie and gets 2015 off to a flyer for trainer Denisa Guy and rider Leith Innes. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to our first show of the year. The boys are back here in Butch Castles. On reflection, you must be absolutely stoked with the carnival and the crowds in particular. Good evening. Yeah,
good evening, DA. Yes, it was a very good carnival. The weather was right. No cricket on Boxing Day makes a difference in Auckland, but fantastic crowds. I thought the track raced really, really well, and some fantastic horse flesh on display.
Yep, and we've got plenty to review over the next hour or so. Paul Shaler's here and jumping through the bridle, a bit like Kevin Myers' horses at Greymouth yesterday. Twiggy, good evening to you.
G'day, Daryl. How are you, mate? Yeah, Kevin had a big day, didn't he? 6 out of the 10 races, so 2 days to go down there, and I'm sure he'll be very prominent in both days.
All right, looking forward to your comments throughout the hour as well. If you'd like to get in contact with us via social media, of course, we're on facebook.com/weighinshow, on Twitter @weighinshow, and you can email us as well, weighin@nzracingboard.co.nz. Our first guest tonight is trainer Donna Logan, who's been kind enough to join us. Donna, thanks for coming in, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Darryl, and it's a pleasure to be here, and Happy New Year to you and all the listeners.
Thank you. Look, I want to come back to the railway in just a few moments, but let's talk about Volkstok'n'barrell first of all. Isn't he a beauty?
He certainly is. It's a bit of a mouthful to get out, isn't it? Very, very lovely horse. He stepped up. Each time he's stepped out, he's just improved and improved, and he worked this morning at home and he was very full of himself and really bright.
Look, you've trained some really good horses, some really good staying 3-year-old horses. How highly does he rate at this point? And the reason I ask is because I know you're not somebody who generally gets anxious or nervous, but you admitted to some nerves before the Great Northern Guineas the other day. He's obviously pretty good.
DA, I think he's possibly, going to be right there with one of the best I've probably ever trained. He has shown me enormous ability, and yeah, I was a bit jittery the other day, and I'm not like that normally.
Must have been relieved then.
Very, yeah. Big sigh after the race. Starting from so wide, we were going to be pressing forward because we were scared we were going to get caught wide. So we made ourselves quite vulnerable, really.
He was there to be. He was a sitting duck, wasn't he? At the 300, like he was there to be beaten. But, he would have won by more, I think, the further the race went.
Yeah, well, I thought, 300 out, I thought, my God, he's going to have to be good to keep this going.
Yeah.
And I know Rockfast is no mug, so, it was pretty gutsy effort.
He's still a baby as well, isn't he? Look at him there. He doesn't quite know what he's doing still yet for mine. Is when he really lets go and that big action of his gets totally flattened out, it's frightening what he's going to be able to do for mine.
Yeah, and at home, like, anybody can ride him. He just plods. He just cruises around the place. If you want to teach someone to ride work, he'd be the ideal horse. He just is so cruisy, but he pulls out all the stops on race day.
Yeah, and I was there on the day, and I noticed him when he's coming back to scale. His ears are pricking. He's looking around. He's just soaking up all the atmosphere, and he's just relaxed and just got the job done. And it just looks a thing that good horses do, isn't it?
Yeah, they just take it in their stride, and likewise he gets home, he gets off the truck and just walks into his yard, puts his head in the feed bin and eats his dinner. Not much phases him, and of course with a young horse still learning, you'd expect them on a big day like at Ellerslie, the carnival atmosphere is sort of plenty of reason to stoke them up, but he is showing a bit more ability, alertness I should say, on a race day. He's starting to take a bit more notice of the surroundings and realising, hey, I'm a racehorse,
There was a mile on New Year's Day, Donna. He gave the impression at the end of it that going further is going to be no worries at all to him.
No, without a doubt. I think he'll relax a whole lot, you know, more when the distance increases. He'll just switch off, lope along. I think he loves chasing. You know, without a doubt, I feel he's a far better chaser. But at home in a track gallop, if you work him on his own, you know, it's tap, tap, come on, get going. Just put him with a mate and he just stays with it. And about the 600, he just comes right up underneath the riders and knows that's a part of the, you know, the business end of the job.
Yeah.
He seems so versatile, doesn't he? I mean, like you said, he's a better chaser, but he can be wherever you want him to be.
Well, he sort of proved that the other day, and, you know, did it relatively easy. I think he lost 8 kilos when we weighed him the following morning after the race. So, you know, again, it just shows that he's quite versatile, but he is tough, and he's got a really good attitude that sort of helps that, holding him together condition-wise. And he did have a good blow after the races the other day. He came up over the back, and Matt and I sort of looked and thought, oh, yeah, there's improvement still in him.
That's good.
He's a really dominant favourite now for the TV3 Derby, and we'll get an update of that market with Stephen Hunt very shortly. But where do you go from here? I mean, what's the path that you've plotted for him towards the Derby?
We've always sort of targeted what we've done so far. We're going to look at the Cracker Millions on Cracker Million night, the mile there, the 3-year-old mile on the 25th. And then we were going to go to 14th of February, Avondale Guineas, again at Ellerslie, so he gets more experience at Ellerslie, which I like my Derby horses to do. And of course the Derby on the 28th of February.
So the Derby will be his 7th run, and 6 of them will have been at Ellerslie come Derby time. I mean, that's so important, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be his 5th up in this campaign though.
Yeah.
So yeah, it fits in perfectly, and it is important, you know, the more the experience they have at Ellerslie, the better they are.
Does he take much work, Donna? He doesn't look like a horse, like he's not a big, robust horse. Like he's very athletic, isn't he?
Yeah,
he doesn't look like he takes a lot of work.
He does. I mean, I've got to gallop him in company a few times just to make him do something.
Yeah.
Because he's so chilled out the rest of the time, you know. He'd run 18s if you let him. So you just got to light him up a bit.
How does he compare to Habibi and Rising Romance in their work, in track work?
Okay, Habibi was a bit the same though. She was pretty relaxed, and so was Rising Romance. But with the pair of them, they probably, I could strip them fitter easier than him, because he is a...
It's like Butch, she's a good doer.
Yeah.
I bet you ate up
But
after
he's
the
a
races.
real athlete though, isn't he? Just the way he carries himself and all of those things. He's a typical horse that you buy though. There's plenty of horse there to the eye. What you gave, I think, $50,000 for him. And he's a combination of owners for you as well. There's lots that have been with you for a long time, and then the new colours of a new client.
Yeah, very fortunate that this took place. I was quite surprised that a stud would like to buy into a gelding, but they really just want to get their colours on good horses on both sides of the Tasman. And I think it's, you know... I think
great for New Zealand racing that they've wanted to do that, you know.
Oh, fantastic for New Zealand racing. And at the end of the day, it wasn't my colours going round, but it's still my name attached to the training side. So, you know, what is it? I think it's great to have that publicity attached to our stable, being an Australian stud wanting to be involved.
And great advertising for them.
Fantastic advertising for them, you know. And I'm just pleased that the Australians are looking at New Zealanders and wanting to be involved with us. We need them, you know. We certainly do. Come sales time, you know, they're the ones we're competing with most of the time, but a lot of our good horses are sold over there. But, you know, it's just terrific to have them involved.
Okay, let's talk about old Durham Town, who went round in the railway again, 3rd this year off a wide gate. He was 4th last year, he was 3rd the year before that. He seems to know when January the 1st is.
Look, you know, you look at him, you think, gee, should we retire him? Because he's very hard to place where he is in the handicap. But when he pulled out a race like he did here the other day, you couldn't retire him, you know. He's got to have another crack at them somewhere. It may well be Wellington.
He's very well off under the set weight and penalties, isn't he?
Oh, he certainly is. And
this is the same horse that when set weight and penalties came in, remember, the owners were very unhappy.
Yeah, well, I guess when you're starting off in these set weight and penalty races, it's not so appealing, but when you get to the end of the scale that we are now, that's the only sort of races or weight for age that are, you know, realistic for them.
And there's not a lot around for sprinters in New Zealand, is there? So
no,
you know,
very difficult.
So he'll probably go to Wellington?
Oh, look, he'd have to set weight and penalty race. Have to, definitely.
Maybe be a favourite around the stable though, wouldn't he?
Oh, he is. Look, we're lucky. We've got so many lovely horses, and they all get pampered, and to the point that the Mighty Finn, El Duce, Zabit, they're all still there. They are still part of the stable. They still go down the beach for the odd ride. Not so much the Mighty Finn now or El Duce, but they never leave you. You know, you look after them, and they're our mates. They've come through a lot of racing with us, so we keep them and fall in love with them.
Let's come back to, thanks Donna, come back to the winner just briefly, In Style. How good, the rise, if you like, of In Style has been quite phenomenal, and Denise Guy and Leith would have been stoked with that effort.
Oh, he was. Look, he was thrilled to be able to be back in the saddle on In Style, and she's done a fantastic job. You know, Denise has been a guest where Donna is now, and she's got two very high-class sprinters, as we know, Tomorrowland and In Style. She'd done a great job with this mare. She'd set her for the race, and she had the lead-up form going into it. She's tough. She's great out of the gates, which is one of her biggest advantages. She can put herself into the race, and she's got the job done. I thought it was super.
No, it was a top effort. I mean, geez, they walked, didn't they, for the first half of the race, made it very difficult for back markers like Huzu Master and Trepidation. They were the two unlucky runners, but look, what more could Denise do? She's done a great job with it, like you said, and I think a special mention is to go to Noel Waddell too, who's a former trainer who's just been with Denise for not long now, and he does a lot of work behind the scenes with Denise as well, so he's a great attribute to the team.
It was a big day for Paul Ryan. He put together a crew of, I think it was 32 or 33 in the end that came along. They came in minibuses, and he got the job done there with In Style, and went so close to I would have thought an unheralded or unprecedented double with Surpass in the Scott Thrust City of Auckland Cup as well. So I don't know when they gave up their party, but it's probably still going now, I would imagine.
Yep.
Bounding, gee, that must have been disappointing for the Kelsos on the eve of the railway. Favourite, apparently her work had been outstanding at the Matamata track, and she's had to come out due to foot issues. That would have been awfully disappointing.
Yeah, all reports were that she did gallop enormously, that final gallop, and then obviously the issue resurfaced. But hopefully, fingers crossed, that they can get her right for the Telegraph. And if she's there, it's going to be a cracking race, isn't it? You add the likes of Sue Bretts and others to the mix, and
Ryan Marks, fantastic. No, he's not going.
No, he's gone to the paddock.
He's going to the paddock.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, more on the Railway Stakes a little bit later in the show here on Way In. Donna, earlier in the day you had Midnight Magic Man, also a son of Tavistock, make his way or continue his path towards the TV3 Derby. You would have been stoked with this, and good ride by one James McDonald.
First race, James again, eh? Very pleased that the horses finally broke maiden ranks. You know, he's been in some tougher fields than this, but he actually beat some older horses this day, and you know, I full credit to him, because there's not much of him, but he really digs deep and puts in hard too.
I think that's the key to his win. Like you say, he beat the older horses. Very difficult, isn't it, for a 3-year-old? I know it's after Christmas, but when you're getting up to a trip like that, and you're beating them over a trip like that, that's a super effort.
I thought the ride was the key to the win.
He's a gun,
you know, he was 3 spots closer than he's been. That was obviously preordained. There was an instruction, and James carried it out to the absolute letter, as you'd expect from a world-class rider. But to me, the ride won the race. You know,
he changed his stick 14 times up the straight, didn't he? Each hand. This is ridiculous.
The lead-in form, though, was pretty good. One of the best maidens in the country, you'd have to say. And I think George pointed that out as well.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm not sure he would have won that race from being back on the corner. If he was back where he'd been being ridden, I don't think he wins that race.
No, it was going to be too tough.
It was too tough.
That just goes when every race at Ellerslie, doesn't it?
Yeah,
lately?
but then some of them they can. Did you see the last? Fast Learner. It was last at the 300.
I didn't see the last.
No.
Not gonna lie to you.
It's very much tempo related, as we know, you know. But I thought that the decision was clearly made to ride him a few spots handier. He responded to that.
Yep.
And of course,
without a doubt.
Yeah.
And of course, James was the successful rider on Rising Romance in the ATC Oaks for you. Just out of curiosity, where's she at?
She's about to kick off her speed work. She is back bigger and stronger than ever been. Quite scary. You know, what she did last time in, you were worried how she was going to come up last prep, and she really bounced, and boy, I think she's come back better again. So
super.
Thrilled to bits with her. She's a little stable star too, so yeah.
Where will she kick off, do you know? Or?
We're looking perhaps giving her an exhibition gallop, maybe Cracker Millions night.
Yep.
Then trial, then she'll race perhaps in New Zealand at Ellerslie for a couple of runs, and then off to Sydney. We're better off having her here for as long as we can and target over there. I mean, if we have a hard run here, at least we can go the paddock.
That's right.
Flush her up. If we're in Sydney for a long length of time, you just don't have that opportunity to throw her in a paddock and flush them up. So,
Gee, that'd be great for New Zealanders to be able to see her, you know.
well, it'd be lovely to race her here,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Much like Silent Achiever did last year. She had those 2 runs at Ellerslie and then went over and carried all before her in Sydney, didn't she?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm picking she's looking to do a similar thing as
We're
well.
pretty much tailing what she did, yeah.
We saw her on the sand track there at home, just on Vision there a moment ago. She's a bit of a beach babe though, isn't she? She likes to get down on the sand and through the surf.
Yeah, they all do. We always vary their work, but Samantha Logan got this shot of herself riding her work and posted it on Facebook, you know. Sam's not usually her regular rider, but horses, as we talked about, good horses, pretty much anybody can ride them, and that's how they mentally
They're
are.
versatile, aren't they, Donna?
Yeah, and geared up just to do the job. So
Sam rides Volkstok'n'barrell occasionally as well, doesn't she?
yes, she certainly does. She gets home and picks the best of the team and gets on and gives us her opinion. And she walked off the track on Volkstok'n'barrell, and I said, "How's he feel?" And she says, "Like a plodder." I says, "Well, you wouldn't go selling him on that comment."
Not a bad plotter.
Yeah.
Jeez.
All right, Stephen Hunt's been kind enough to join us from the sports desk to update some of the futures markets. Steve, good evening to you. Walk us through the update for the TV3 Derby if you could.
Yeah, good evening, DA and team there in the studio. Yeah, look, Volkstok'n'barrell's all the rage, and it has been for 4 or 5 weeks now, DA, to be honest. $4 you could have got prior to his winning the Great Northern on New Year's Day. And the way he displayed that performance, we've put him in 1 single point. He's now a dominant market favourite at a $3 quote. Remembering back a couple months now when he started this preparation, one punter lobbed on 15,000 at the opening quote of $7. That's long gone. We had 3 separate bets of $10,000 on him to win the Great Northern on New Year's Day. So even in this market and outside this market in races he's contesting, he's been a terrible result, Volkstok'n'barrell. He's clearly a 6-figure loss already in this option 992. Outside that Rockfast, it was a very brave run considering he was on the fresh side, hadn't raced since the 2000 Guineas in early part of November. He was at $12 prior to that second and behind Volkstok'n'barrell. He's now coming 4 points into that $8 second line of betting. Tavi, the filly, at $10. Vavasaur, also another filly, at $18. And in option 991, the other option, the second option we have running through the TV3 New Zealand Derby. A few here in that third line of betting. Mongolian Khan, who was super at Ellerslie just prior to Christmas at a $10 price for the Baker Forsman stable. And Margin Trader, who caught the eye in behind Volkstok'n'barrell and Rockfast at that $10 price, and also Midnight Magic Man for the Logan stable. We all saw at Breaking Maiden there. It's still at a $14 price and has already been very well supported at that price. But all the rage, to be honest, DA, is Volkstok'n'barrell, 1 horse, 4 into 3 in the last 7 days.
Yeah, do you take the $3 in the futures or wait for $2 on the day, I suppose, is the big question. All right, what impact did the Railway Stakes have on the futures market for the Telegraph?
Yeah, a lot has happened since the running of the Sistema Railway Stakes, DA. Obviously, Ryan Mark coming out a couple of days later has obviously reframed this market. Superette's now the clear favourite at a $5 price on the back of that enormous Stewards win on Cup Week. Bounding, hope she does take her place. She's at that second line of betting at $6, and she is it with Tomorrowland. Now, Denise Guy has 2 runners. Tomorrowland at $6, in style, the Group 1 winner at $10. But clearly the best bet runner has been the stablemate in Tomorrowland. Opened at $31 when we first brought out this market a couple months ago. It's clearly our worst result in this particular market, and that's why we've got it in that second line of betting. Natuzzi at $8 after his super win in the new market. You could have got around about $14. And Sacred Star is the interesting runner also, DA, must touch on. Apparently it worked enormous in an exhibition gallop at the back end of last week at Gate Par. You could have got around about $51 on Sacred Star. It's tumbled in now to a quote of around about $18, and there's been plenty of support in the last 4 to 5 days.
Okay, and quickly, the Levin Classic, where do we sit there?
Yes, Sardaj has clearly been the best bet runner here, DA. The filly's going to take on the boys, apparently. You could have got around about $10 a week ago. She's now under $5 equal favourite with Rockfast, the boy. Hooker Eagle, after that super win on Boxing Day, has come in quite a lot. Could have got $16. That's long gone down to $8. And then you've got a bunch of horses between that $12 and $18 price, but it has definitely been dominated by betting market from what I've seen is clearly the best bet runner in Sardaj. $10 about a week ago, now to $5, and clear equal favourite with Rockfast.
Okay, Steve, thank you. Back a little bit later in the show. Donna, just before you leave us, big team on the home track tomorrow. Is there one you can tip out for our weigh-in viewers?
Mongolian Storm's in the first, and he was booked to go to China on a plane, believe it or not, and he's missed the plane, and he's with us till April now. So from the company he's been up racing in, I'd have to put him in with a very good chance. And I guess for my next chance, I would go with Fair Mete in the maiden mile.
Okay.
How many you got in?
10.
10, nice team.
Hey, look, if we can get Steve to keep Volkstok'n'barrell at 18s for that Wellington race, do you think we can put him on a truck if we can get the 18s?
Only if I get mine on first.
You and Peter allowed the first 1,000 on.
Okay. I thought 10.
Good on you, Donna. Thank you so much for coming in. Well done again with the success on New Year's Day, and let's hope we have you back here after the Derby in March.
Oh, we hope so. Thanks for having me. It's been very enjoyable.
Good on you. Thank you. Trainer Donna Logan with us here on Weigh In. We're back with more after this.
Coming up after the break, the team review the rest of the card from New Year's Day racing at Ellerslie.